it going? My name is Elena and welcome back to my channel. So glad you're here. I'm bringing you guys a little finance video, which I'm excited about. I wanted to talk today a bit more about how to manage and take control of your finances, especially when it comes to saving, setting goals, and kind of have a bit more of a sustainable mindset when it comes to your finances. I feel like most of us, we were not taught in school how to manage our finances. We weren't even taught the most basic, really like financial terms. Like I definitely wasn't even really taught what a stock truly was or how the stock market works as an individual investor, like in high school or college, which is a crime in my opinion. So I'm here to talk to you guys about what I've learned from my own financial journey, as well as just kind of share some of the research I do to hopefully help give you guys a bit more financial literacy, help you with your own finances. It's so important. I always say this, but financial freedom is the ultimate form of just self-care and empowerment, especially as women. Having your own bank account, investing your money, preparing for your future is one of the best gifts you can give yourself. So I'm here to help you get on it. If you're new here too, I'd love if you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you enjoyed this video, it would help me a lot if you hit the like button. So I have a few stats to drive home the importance of saving your money and taking control of your own finances. So 69% of adult Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings account, which is crazy and a bit concerning because, as I've mentioned in a lot of videos, I feel like one of the first steps to taking control of your money is to have an emergency savings. An emergency savings fund is usually anywhere from 3 to 6 to maybe even 12 months of your just like basic necessity money saved away. You never know what could happen, so this money is like just, you know, pay your rent, pay your bills, put food on the table, etc. because there is a very good chance an emergency will happen where you're gonna have to dip into that. Maybe your car breaks down and you need to pay it off that day so that you can get your car fixed to be able to drive to work tomorrow, or there could be a medical emergency, lose your job, etc. Having emergency savings is so important. Big US banks charged over $11.7 billion in overdraft fees just in 2019. Plus the average monthly maintenance fee at a bank in the US is around $17, which is over $200 a year. Only 1/3 of the households are running some kind of budget, which leads to average American savings less than 5% of disposable income. I'm gonna be sharing some basic ideas in this on just kind of how to manage and take control of your money, and just some tips on how to save a bit more, because it's all about the baby steps and it's not nearly as intimidating as it might seem at the beginning. So first I want to mention Aspiration, which is today's sponsor, which I feel like is the absolute perfect fit for this video. Basically a digital banking alternative that helps you save money and save the planet, which I love. I got quite a few comments on my last investing video. People kind of asking of ways to think about investing with a more sustainable mindset, which is something I'm not great at, but I personally am working to get better at. And what's really cool about Aspiration is that they were kind of founded with this idea of being more ethically minded and being really conscious of where your money goes. They offer some really incredible ways to align your money with your values, which I think is super unique. In this video, I'm kind of gonna break it down into kind of 3 sections, give or take. So the first section, I just wanna go over some basic knowledge of kind of like how do banks work, what happens to your money. I wanna talk about some structural thinking about ways to be more proactive when it comes to your finances and saving, as well as just some general saving tips. So let's dive in. So first off, let's talk about banks. How does a bank make money? Banks make money through a variety of ways. The first is that when you put your money into your checking account, your money actually doesn't just sit there. So what banks do is they take your money and they actually lend it out to other people. They make interest money off this money they're lending out from customer deposits, from customers like you and me. But unfortunately with that, you can't really control where your money's going. So that means your money that's been sitting in this bank account could be going to fuel fossil fuel projects, private prisons, political lobbying, etc. I got another stat for you. Fossil fuel funding by big banks is on the rise, and over 2.7 trillion has been invested since 2016. Also, banks make money off fees. Big banks charge all kind of overdraft fees, minimum balance fees, etc. So that's kind of how a bank fund themselves and how they stay afloat and make a ton of money off of our individual deposits. Now let's talk about kind of moving and dealing with your money. So obviously when your employer pays you, it's usually in a check. I mean, maybe it's cash, but it's usually in a check, and you usually deposit that check into a bank. The first step to taking control of your money is to put your money somewhere that you trust. Your bank account is kind of like your homepage, your hub. And from your homepage, you can send it to other areas like a brokerage account, into a Roth IRA, or into other investments and things like that. But this is like the first most important step with your money, is putting it somewhere that you know it's safe and you can trust. I know this isn't necessarily going to be everyone's priority, but I know there are quite a few of you who do try to take baby steps to live a more sustainable life. And I think it's really incredible that there's digital banking alternatives like Aspiration that work to not just save you money, but also to help save save and protect the environment. Let's talk about Aspiration for a second here. I'm so proud that they're today's sponsors. I think they could be great fit for quite a few of you out there. They were founded to be different. They don't use any of their customer deposits for things like I mentioned earlier, like the fossil fuels or oil drilling or coal mines or private prisons. They're super trustworthy. They are B Corp certified. They're a member of 1% for the Planet, and they commit to donating 10% of all of their profits. I know my deposits too are going to be FDIC insured up to $2.46 million. When you bank with Aspiration 2, you can rest easy because there are 55,000 all-point ATMs, and they have a lot of features that just help you spend your money more sustainably. They have this plant for change feature where for your debit card purchases, you can round up to the next dollar, and then they take that money and they use it to plant trees. So you're basically offsetting your carbon footprint as well, which I think is super cool. They have a couple different accounts. They have their spend and save account, which is free. They do have a pay what you think is fair feature if you wish to do that. And they have their Aspiration Plus account, which is only $15 a month. It has a perk like offsetting your gas purchases with a recycled ocean plastic card. I know money and finances can feel really intimidating, but it shouldn't. Signing up for something like Aspiration literally just takes 5 minutes. And once you open it up, you can just start moving your money at your own pace. So now let's jump into kind of like the structural thinking of what to do with your money when it comes to saving. First off, what's really important is setting goals. By setting goals, this is like the #1 thing that will keep you on task and on track. When you have goals for your future, you're going to be so much more inspired to save. I think when you just like are saving here and there with no real goal in mind, it's a lot easier to just fall back into old habits of just like spending your money for the hell of it instead of actually like saving towards future goals. Start by thinking what that goal is for you. Maybe it's buying real estate, you know, buying a house down the road. Maybe it's buying a car, buying a really beautiful couch for your apartment, saving for retirement, saving for a vacation when those are a thing again, hopefully soon. You kind of have to figure out, you know, how much are those things going to cost, and you're going to work backwards from there. There's also short-term and long-term goals. I think it's helpful to set both. A short-term goal is going to be more about planning for that vacation, buying that fancy couch. Long-term goals are going to be more like saving for your retirement, saving for the down payment of a home. So then you want to pick the right tools for saving based off those goals. So for short-term goals, you're probably going to want them to be easier to access. So you might want to put them in something like a high-yield savings account. The current national savings rate is 0.05% APY or annual percentage yield, which is crazy. The APY basically gives you the most accurate idea of what your money in the savings account could earn in a year. So for example, with Aspiration Plus, you get up to 1% APY, which is over 20 times the national average. So then there's other saving tools for your long-term goals. Let's say you want to save and invest towards your retirement. You're probably going to want to look at something like a Roth IRA account or a 401k. There's other securities too, like stocks, index funds, mutual funds, ETFs, the whole deal. So these are all obviously subject to investment risks, and these investment products are often dealt with through accounts with a broker-dealer. So next up is budgeting, which is another great way to approach your money when you're looking to save a bit more. I'm gonna gloss over this fairly quick because I have talked about it previously. I'll link other previous videos I've talked about down below. Think of budgeting as just a plan because it doesn't mean you have to quit spending altogether. It just means you're now prioritizing some financial goals over others, or, you know, saving towards a goal rather than just spending your entire paycheck on fun things here and there. For example, one popular budgeting method is the 50-30-20 rule. This basically means when you get your paycheck, 50% of your paycheck is going to go towards your necessities. Think your rent, your basic grocery bills, electricity, transportation, the whole deal. 30% of that paycheck is going to go towards want, guilt-free spending, go get your nails done, go get your hair done, and then 20% is going to go towards savings. Those could be your short-term saving goals, your long-term saving goals, etc. This is going to kind of depend on your case. You know, you can change things up depending on how your life looks, on the things that are more important to you. You can also kind of budget by recording your expenses. Maybe if you really need to fully revamp the way you view finances, you could use something like YNAB, which is an app that encourages you to record every single expense as you make it. And I think that's very helpful for just being a lot more mindful. It's a lot more tedious, so this isn't necessarily for everybody, but if you really feel like your money is just slipping away and you don't know where you're spending it, this helps you be super on top of it. There's also things like Mint, which I personally really love, which basically has access to your bank account and essentially sorts all of your expenses expenses throughout the month into different categories. At the end of the month, you can go and you can look and see where your money was spent. So I'll go and be like, okay, I spent this much these coffee shops and this much on Ubers, like maybe I should cut back in that area. Like, oh good, I didn't spend that much money eating out here. Like, you can kind of get to figure out where your money's going in a bit more of a broad sense in different categories, which I really like. Another way to kind of structure your money out off the bat is to set up automatic withdrawals. So when your paycheck hits your bank account, the bank account can do these automatic withdrawals for you. Let's say 20% immediately goes into savings, or maybe even more, 30%, 40%, depending on what you're able to do. So almost all banks offer these automated transfers between your checking and savings accounts. You can choose how much, when, or you can even split your direct deposit. So a portion goes into checking, a portion goes into savings, and Aspiration Plus has unlimited transfers as well if you do want to go something like Aspiration. So splitting your direct deposit and setting up these automated reoccurring transfers is a really simple way to save, because it basically does the work for you and removes all the temptation for you, because it's just doing it without you having to click anything, look at anything. It's just sorted away for you. So now I want to talk about some saving tips for you to hopefully save you some coin. Food, it's safe to say, is one of our top expenses. I personally find it annoying that I have to eat 3 times a day. I'm like, can I just be full and ready to go? I'm not a chef. I like eating nice meals, of course, but I get annoyed with how often I have to eat. And it's a depreciating asset. You spent that money, you never get it back. If you love food, if you're trying to be a cook or a chef, this could be different for you. But in my case, I feel like I can cut down a bit more when it comes to groceries and food. I find it really helpful before I go to the grocery store to actually make a list of exactly what I need. Otherwise, if I go and I'm hungry, I for one will get a lot more than what I need. And sometimes I'm like, I think I need tahini, and I already have like 2 cans of tahini in my cupboard, but because I didn't check before. So making a list and like really checking your inventory of what you have and what you need often helps you save a lot of money when it comes down to it. Also compare prices. Store brand versus generic is super helpful. Coupons are super helpful. Obviously eating in is gonna save you a lot more money. I'm not gonna say never eat out, because I think eating out is really fun, especially living in New York. The food is so good. But I do know the more I eat in, the more money I'm gonna save, and the better it is just across the board for my wallet. My bank account will be happy. A little shout out to Graham Stephan, but obviously making a nice iced coffee at home is gonna save you some coins than drinking a latte out every day. But again, that's your area in your finances where you're like, I wanna get that damn latte. Get that latte, but just a way of potentially saving your money. Another one when it comes to the food department is pre-gaming. Oh my goodness, drinks in New York City are so damn expensive. Like cocktails on average in Manhattan in like a trendy-ish area are literally like $15, which is insane. I could get like a nice bottle of red wine for $15, but like a decent cocktail is gonna be like $15. Remember one time I went to the speakeasy and it like looked like it was gonna be expensive, and so I went to the bar. I was like, I'm just gonna get a gin and tonic. I get the tab. That G&T was $18. I was like, I hate New York. I love it, but I hate it. So pre-gaming is a great way to go if you're gonna go out on the town, which doesn't really apply at the moment, but hopefully in the time span this video is out, we will be able to go out once again. So freaking expensive, especially live in a city, to just be drinking out. So drink your wine before, take your cheap shot before, do what you wanna do, but pre-gaming, man, it will save you coins. Another one is automatic subscriptions and memberships. I think this is a really great area to kind of reevaluate, see where your money is going. There's a service I recently came across called Truebill, which basically can help you track which subscriptions you're subscribed to, because you may not remember you like accidentally subscribed to that like one magazine thing because you wanted to read that one article online, and you've actually been paying for it for months, or you like signed up for Fabletics, think you were just getting one pair of leggings, and like plot twist, you've been paying their like monthly subscription fee for months. Make sure that anytime you buy a purchase, you're not auto-renewing it. That's just gonna add up. Of course, there's subscriptions that are worth it. I love my New York Times subscription. I love my Spotify subscription. There are some things that are great, but there's others that are slowly sucking away your money, and you might not even be realizing it unless you're really paying attention to your expenses. Also, like, do you really need Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Disney Plus, like all of them? Like, do we have enough time to watch all of those? Probably not. Maybe pick your top 2. Maybe, you know, conspire with a friend and you guys share an account and like one pays for one and you both have logins. Just saying, just throwing it out there. Little things like that, they can add up. You can put that money towards something else rather than paying for like 10 different movie streaming services. Let's talk about buying generic. I love this one. Whenever I go to the grocery store with my dad, he'd always show me like, okay, how to look for the generic brands, to check like the ounces to the price, to see like what is actually worth it if there's two similar products. A lot of times it's easy to go for that nice, trendy, pretty label. I love a good packaging design. Shout out to my graphic designers. You guys make it look great. When in reality, generic brands are very often very similar when it comes down to the ingredients. Let's say you're getting like a face wipe. You can go for the Target brand or you can go for the Neutrogena, and one's gonna be a little bit more expensive, but usually, again, when you look at the back of the ingredients, they're almost identical. This can really be the case with a lot of things. Think food supplies, medicine, some like cleaning supplies, basic beauty from drugstore brands. But again, the generic brand is often just as good as the fancy brand. Another one is buying secondhand. One that I love. Many of the pieces in my wardrobe are secondhand. Not only is it cheaper, but it's also better for the environment, which is something I want to hopefully incorporate a little bit more. This can be applied to furniture, clothing, technology. Most of my camera lenses are secondhand. A lot of my clothing is secondhand. There are some times when buying new is worth it. For example, like my MacBook, because of my job literally all runs through my MacBook Pro, I was like, let me get a nice MacBook. But maybe in your case, you don't use your computer as much, you can get it secondhand. Throughout college, seriously, I would say 95% of my wardrobe was completely all like secondhand. Also, if you want to shop sustainably, it can seem like it's going to be really expensive, but it doesn't always have to be. Aspiration does have this Conscious Coalition program, which offers cash back with mission-aligned merchants, which makes it easier, cheaper to shop sustainably. So if you include like Lola, which is a feminine care brand, Warby Parker, Drops, etc. For example, a reusable water bottle rather than buying a cheap plastic one every time. Better for the environment, better for your wallet. It's a win-win. Okay, on that note, I'm gonna wrap this video up because it's getting quite long, but I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found these topics helpful overall about kind of just managing your money structurally, about some tips. Definitely check out Aspiration if you think that'd be a good fit for you as just a digital banking alternative. If you are looking to be a bit more conscious with your money. Again, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to comment, like, subscribe, the whole deal. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, bye-bye.